So this afternoon we are going to talk about the life of this great mathematician, Srinivas Iyengar Ramanujan or Ramanujan, and this is a stamp that commemorated his 75th birth anniversary by India. Okay, and Ramanujan was born on 22nd December in 1887 in Erode, Tamil Nadu state, and he passed away at a very young age of 32 in Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu state. Now, I'm going to just narrate in as good a way as I can about the life of this genius and just introduce you to some of his work, because I'm not really capable of explaining the work in mathematical detail. Okay, so let me just give you in a few seconds of what he did and what was that great. And I'm just going to borrow this from this very hit movie which came in 1997 called Good Will Hunting. So let me just let you enjoy the moments here.
I've got a full schedule. I'm very busy.
This boy is incredible. I've never seen anything like him.
What makes him so incredible, Jerry?
Ever heard of Ramanujan?
Yeah. No.
He's a man. Lived over 100 years ago. He was Indian.
Dots, not feathers.
And he lived in this tiny hut somewhere in India. He had no formal education. He had no access to any scientific work. But he came across this old math text. And from this simple text, he was able to extrapolate theories that had baffled mathematicians for years.
Continued fractions. He wrote it with a...
Well, he mailed it to Hardy.
Yeah.
Hardy, Cambridge. Sure. And Hardy immediately recognized the brilliance of his work and brought him over to England. And then they worked together for years, creating some of the most exciting math theory ever done. And this Ramanujan, his genius was unparalleled, Sean. This boy's just like that. But his
So here is a modern satellite image of Erode, where he was born in Tamil Nadu, and the place is located right here in the Tamil Nadu state of India. A very fertile country, blessed by so many glacier-fed rivers, and was a big attraction for immigrants from all over, to live in a very good land. So anyways, so here is where he was born. Here is where he worked mostly and lived majority of his life. And here is a picture of the hut that you just saw a reference of. Okay, and then let me just show you the temple that is referred to very frequently in his life, and that's an excerpt from this movie. And I will be playing this some little excerpts from this movie multiple times. So let me see. Here we go. So that's where actually his house was. Okay, and just to give you an idea of the of that locality, of course, decades later. So Ramanujan was born to Komala Thamal and K. Srinivas Iyengar. And K. Srinivas Iyengar was working for a cloth merchant, not making much salary. And Ramanujan was eldest of his, I think, 5 children, because 2 of them passed away during infancy. So he was the oldest of the 3 surviving brothers. And his Mrs. Iyengar was about 24 years old when he was born, and he was born, from the by the beliefs of his family, by the blessings of their family goddess, and Ramanujan was very spiritual, unlike his associate, the great mathematician G.H. Hardy. G.H. Hardy was an atheist, and Ramanujan was very, as I said, very spiritual. And I showed you an image of that temple in South India, and or in Tamil Nadu, in his home state and hometown. And if you go there, here is this mantra from Upanishads, which is recited very much in Hindu prayers, but it's really, other than Om, which has been, I think, accepted as in all the yoga classes as as a non-religious, or let me not go into details. Okay, so other than this, almost everything looks universal, not really confined to a religion. And it says Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So here we are talking about Purn. That is, Purn is, I don't want to go into that, but Purn is something that this is Purn, that is Purn. And if you take Purn out of Purn, let's call Purn the whole. The whole means the entirety. Let me not say, by whole I mean W-H-O-L-E. Okay, so if I take Purn out of Purn, I'm still left with Purn, and then the prayer asks for peace. So here, we are getting a sense of that, say we have infinity, and it seems to say infinity minus infinity is still infinity, but we know that that is indeterminate. It could be anything. So it's not that Ramanujan did not know about indeterminate forms. And by the way, this is not by Ramanujan. This is centuries old mantra from Upanishads. Okay, so here is, since we talked about indeterminate forms, okay, here is a little anecdote from a class of Ramanujan when he was really young in grade school, and teacher was teaching division, and the example was, if 3 bananas are given to 3 students, each student will get a banana, right? 3 over 3 is a 1. Ramanujan's first question was, sir, if no banana is distributed to no student, will everyone still get a banana? And then he, there is no written record, then he seemed to have led like a little discussion, or gotten into a discussion that it could be anything. So Ramanujan was, of course, he did not have much means. His father barely made enough money working as, working in the shop of a cloth merchant to feed the family. So, what to say of sending children to higher education. But anyways, Ramanujan came across this book by G.S. Carr, who was a tutor at Cambridge in the middle of the 19th century. And he had put together this like about 1400 pages 1400 pages book, or it's more than 1000 page book, to assist him tutoring the mathematics students at Cambridge. And of course it has to be a good encyclopedia. Just a second. Okay, and here is a kind of one page here. Okay, this is our P series that we talk about a lot in our math courses, that when P is greater than 1 the series converges. And in Carr's book, since it was a compilation of of lots and lots of things, and then in the middle of 19th century, it was not really easy to print a book with as many pages as you want. So, or there was no web. He did not write proofs of many things. Okay, and that book became a primary source of mathematical information for Ramanujan. So, this brilliant student here in 1904 won a scholarship to attend the Government Arts College at, Kumbakonam. but he was so preoccupied with mathematics that he failed English. And his English was pretty good, as you will later see, but that was the British standards for English. And so he lost his scholarship and there was no advancement. He not only the scholarship, he just lost the whole year. And then, well, after that, he made another attempt in 1906 for college education at this Pachipayas College in Madras. But again, he had to quit because of health reasons. So what would he do after that? Okay, so in 1904, born in 1887 or 1906 rather, he was about 19 years old. So he started just doing mathematics. And he created these 3 notebooks, which I got from an Asia Pacific journal, whose reference I'll give you in a few moments. And in the notebooks, he would write his mathematical calculations, like these are the magic squares that you hear a lot about, that here is a square. You see each row in this one is adding to how much? 15. Diagonally, each column is adding to 15. And what is here? 35. So no matter which way you go, and just go and I'll give you the reference of the website. You will see many of the pages. Okay. Now, here comes another point. I mean, I don't really know what went on in Ramanujan's family, but in 1909, Ramanujan would be 22 years old. He was not going to college. He didn't have a job. He was just doing mathematics in his spare time. And being the oldest child in a poor family, of course they would worry. And if we go over 100 years ago and you have a 22-year-old old guy, and you're not really happy with the way things are, what would you do? Get him married so that he gets some responsibility, and then maybe with responsibility will come some direction. So he got married to this woman, Janaki. Let's call Mrs. Janaki Ramanujan now, just for ease. Okay, and she was only 10 at that time. So, much younger than Ramanujan himself. And British had not outlawed child marriage in India at that time. So the thing is, the marriage could still be done, but the thing is, after the wedding, she would go back to her parents' house and will come back when the time is right. Okay, so he was married to Janaki in that year, that is in 1909. A great lady. We will have some opportunity to see some of her clips later on. Okay. Now, so he was still working, but he didn't have any money. Now here was here was a big official of Indian civil service who was also a great mathematician. So Ramanujan was needing support. He really wanted a job. So Diwan Bahadur Ramchandra Rao's nephew was good friends with Ramanujan, so he takes Ramanujan to him along with his notebooks. And Diwan Bahadur Rao, according to his accounts, Ramanujan was a short, uncouth figure, stout, unshaved, not over clean, with one conspicuous feature: shining eyes. He walked in with a frayed notebook under his arm. He was miserably poor. He had run away from Kumbakonam to get leisure in Madras to pursue his studies. He never craved for any distinction. He wanted leisure. In other words, simple food to be provided for him without exertion on his part, and that he should be allowed to dream on, do his mathematics. So what Diwan Bahadur Rao did, he was a mathematician, but even until recently, big mathematicians, engineers, even doctors in India, their first choice would be to be a high official in Indian civil service, and that's what he was. But since he was very resourceful, he just offered Ramanujan support, that just stay. There was a summer house. He could stay in there and do mathematics. So Ramanujan accepted that offer. But of course, there might have been many reasons. Maybe his self-pride or his responsibility as his responsibilities as the eldest son in the family. Okay, that after a year he very respectfully declined to continue with the with that support and wanted a job instead. And that was a slightly lucky break in the sense that he got a job, a class 3 level job, which was grade 4, and it was British structure. We know here also in federal level GS, GS10, GS11. I'm getting distracted. Let me come back to the point. Now, so this was a lucky break, I would say, because his boss, S. Narayan Iyer, he was a treasurer in that Port Trust, and he also had a master's degree in mathematics. So, and Ramanujan did not even have college education. So, he would take time to discuss Ramanujan's work with him. And what he would have to say to Ramanujan, according to the accounts from his son, that you must descend to my level and write at least 10 steps between 2 steps of yours. So that's how he encouraged him to write more, because Ramanujan will write his proofs as they come, his statements as they came to him without giving any proofs. Now, why would he not give proofs? Well, there were many speculations. One was that he got so much of his knowledge from that book by Carr, by G.S. Carr, the book that I showed you, whose pages I showed you, and he did not write any proofs, so maybe he acquired that as a nature. And also at that time, paper was pretty expensive. Sometimes he just has to bring the stationery from, or the used paper from his work and do calculation in the back. Or, in fact, Mr. Iyer had to buy him a slate because, that paper was not enough for his calculation at that time. And with the slate also, he will write on the slate and then he has to wipe when he's writing on that slate by a chalk, and the cloth will saturate soon. So Ramanujan's elbow was, he writes that in many references, and I'll give you a reference later, that he would erase sometimes by his elbow, and his elbow developed a real good record of that. Okay, so maybe it was lack of recording resources that he cared not to write too much, or maybe it was just his nature, as many people said. But anyway, he did not write many proofs. According to Hardy, as you will hear a little later, it was that he didn't have any formal proof writing training. So let's move forward here. So when Ramanujan was writing his notebooks, and now, through his boss, he came across some mathematicians and even some British mathematicians who were in Madras, okay, and he got them to communicate some of his work to eminent mathematicians, okay, one of who was Professor M.J.M. Hill, who was in the University of London. He took time to read Ramanujan's work. And then, he writes very politely that Mr. Ramanujan is evidently a man with taste for mathematics and with some ability, but he has got on the wrong lines. He does not understand the precaution which have to be taken in dealing with the divergent series. Otherwise, he would not write statements like these. Okay, and then he even gives a justification that here is the nth partial sum of the top series, okay, which goes to infinity as n goes to infinity, and here is for this one and here is for this one, and of course, these are the results, and we will discuss these later, and these will help handle the national debt if these are true in a very usual sense, right, won't they? But anyways, so what Professor Hill did was this, that he suggested that Ramanujan bought this book, the Bromwich's Theory of Infinite Series, which was which was available for $15. Okay, and just a second, I'll show you some pages from that book. Okay, but and read about what the infinite series are. And that book is a very good book. I have a copy, but I just don't want to go in a different area. But that was not really for Ramanujan, and so I mean, he was of course discouraged and disappointed. But then a really, really lucky episode happened. That was this. That is, his papers were sent to G.H. Hardy, a great mathematician of those times, actually, not only of those times, of all times, who was at Trinity College in the University of Cambridge. So when Hardy read his work, here again, I have that excerpt from Letters from Indian Clerk.
Some of the formulae seemed vaguely familiar. I thought that as an expert in definite integrals, I could probably prove a couple of them, and did so, though with a good deal more trouble than I had expected. One or two of the formulae I found much more intriguing, and it soon became obvious that Ramanujan must possess much more general theorems, and was keeping a great deal up his sleeve. Some of the formulae defeated me completely. I had never seen anything in the least like them before. A single look at them is enough to show that they could only be written down by a mathematician of the highest class. They must be true, because if they were not true, no one would have had the imagination to invent them.
Hardy began corresponding with the Indian clerk and invariably asked Littlewood for his comments on the strange formulae which arrived from Madras.
I've looked at some of the other results. D is still wrong, of course, and rather a howler. 6 is correct up to x to the 33rd. 8, here is a mild verification. How maddening his letter is in the circumstances. I rather suspect he's afraid that you'll steal his work.
Littlewood wrote that my hopes now are that he has much important discoveries about continued fractions and elliptic functions. I can believe that he's at least a Jacobi.
So what happened when Hardy looked at it, and those conversations between Hardy and Littlewood are laid out in a novelization. I don't know if it's a valid word, okay, in this novel by David Leavitt, The Indian Clerk, okay. And here is a page from that novel, okay. That is the letters or the work arrives to Hardy, and then Hardy is discussing it with Littlewood. And then of course here is some of these are said by Hardy, some by Ramanujan, and here is Ramanujan writing that I was expecting a reply from you similar to the one which a mathematics professor at London wrote. He didn't write the name of Professor Hill, asking me to study careful Bromwich's infinite series and not fall into the pitfall of divergent series. And now Hardy is saying that's Hill I expect anyway. Then Ramanujan writes, I have a friend in you who views my labor sympathetically, all right? So this is already some encouragement to me, and proceed with my onward course. And then Littlewood says, good. Now he says, yes, but now comes a worrisome part. And Ramanujan again, I find in many a place in your letter rigorous proofs are required, and so on, and you ask me to communicate the methods of proof. If I had given you my methods of proof, I'm sure you will follow the London professor. He doesn't say Professor Hill. But as a fact, I did not give him any proof, but made some assertions as the following under my new theory. I told him that the sum of the infinite number of the terms of this series, okay, is negative 1 over 12 under my theory, that is under Ramanujan's summability theory about divergent series. So, and then the conversation goes on. It's a really nice book to read if you have time. Okay, so what happens then is that Hardy arranges Ramanujan to come to Cambridge, and now his financial condition is becoming better. First, when he got passage, he got lodging, and also things have to be arranged in a way that his family, who he was supposed to support as the eldest son, and in fact getting a job in Madras had done something good for Ramanujan. That is, he was able to bring Mrs. Janaki Ramchandran with him so that they could live in the same house, and he was caring for his parents, including his grandmother. So, they were the number of lives that were dependent on him just on the salary as a clerk in Madras Port Trust. So this was a pretty handsome amount that was set aside to be sent for his family to be supported, and then he, out of his scholarship amount of this, which was quite a bit in 1914, I believe. Okay, pound sterling at that time, if I'm not wrong, was about $6 or so. Anyways, so he went, he took this journey. For a few days he was seasick in the course of 24 days of passage, but then he was fine, and he arrived fine, I think. So again, he goes to Hardy, and when he reaches Hardy, then comes the problem of that formal method of formal proof writing. So from this movie that I have been showing clips from by Christopher Sykes, okay, let's go to another one, okay, and most of it are from the words of Hardy himself.
His ideas of what constitutes a mathematical proof were of the most shadowy description. All his results, new or old, right or wrong, had been arrived at by a process of mingled argument, intuition, and induction, of which he was entirely unable to give any coherent account. It was impossible to ask such a man to submit to systematic instruction, to try to learn mathematics from the beginning once more. I was afraid, too, that if I insisted unduly on matters which Ramanujan found irksome, I might destroy his confidence or break the spell of his inspiration. So I had to try to teach him. And in a measure, I succeeded, though obviously I learned from him much more than he learned from me.
And of course, that association paid off, that during these years, and these years also coincide with a big world event, that was the World War I, Ramanujan published 21 papers at Cambridge in the following areas, okay, and 5 of them were joint papers with Hardy, and they were on definite integral, modular equations, Riemann's zeta function, infinite series, summation of series, analytic number theory, asymptotic formulae, modular function, partitions, and combinatorial analysis. Let's look at partitions here. Okay, what he meant by partition is this: that say if we have a whole number, in how many ways can we write those numbers as sums of different whole numbers? Okay, and you can see this sometimes when we don't use cash much, but sometimes when we are exchanging cash, we really wonder about, okay, here are like 5s and 3s and 1s, or in order to exchange money. So this kind of thing we encounter almost every day, but don't wonder about like in how many ways that they can be split, unless we have to come across a question about if we can abolish minting of pennies and still can do all the transactions. So anyways, and coming back to the topic, look at this. Ramanujan didn't have much money, even with Cambridge scholarship. Still, he could think of how to like split the big sums. All right, I wouldn't think about thinking of combining in different ways, number of say $100, $120 or so. That's almost the best I can handle with cash. And then, even with my bank accounts, I don't even worry about millions or billions. But what Hardy and Ramanujan did was this, that they developed this asymptotic formula that approaches the number of ways the partitions can be found. For example, for 2 you can have it in 2 ways, 3 you can have it in 3 ways. When you go to 4 you have 5 ways. When you go to 5 you have 7 ways, and so on and so forth. So they developed this formula, and of course, Ramanujan was a fan of summations, and he made it a little more precise, giving an error term that number Pn would be this, with an error of order n to the negative 1 over 24. And in fact, this was further improved. And let me say something about a big gratitude that I have for all these great people who pursued mathematics, and I'm one of the beneficiaries that make good salary. I can get a job anywhere I want. Okay, not really a very high paying job, but good enough to live a good life. In the last year, remember, I talked about Benoit Mandelbrot, who had to really run around, to save his life in Nazi-occupied France. And then we have Ramanujan, and then Hans, Rademacher. Here he is referred to as a German mathematician, but he also had to flee Germany, from Nazi Germany, to come to US, and he improved on this formula by writing this. Now this paper I found on the web just now, and I don't know why author's name was like blacked out, but anyways, this was the formula by Hans Rademacher, okay, so regarding the partition of numbers. And then you saw his work about that, summability theory of divergent series. And right now I don't have much equipment to go in detail with you. So let's go further along with the life of Ramanujan and come through this, which is really famous. Okay, and we were told about it last year that this is the infinite series that he wrote about the convergence of pi. Okay, and it converges very fast. So this was just some of his work, which I can say in simple terms, and later on, we will discuss mathematics, not necessarily in my leadership in the group today. Okay, all of you are free to participate. Okay, so now comes, as I said, since those years corresponded with the First World War, Ramanujan had another unlucky, situation there. That is, first of all, one of his associates, his and Hardy's associates, Dr. Littlewood, he was sent into First World War. So he lost a co-worker. I mean, he came back, but the thing is, he couldn't work with him anymore because he was in the war. Okay, so here is so Littlewood went to war, and then when he came back, he had not really, he was not really interested in mathematics as much as he was before the war. And you can realize that a war 100 years ago, and we know our great veterans who come back from wars now, okay, how difficult a thing this is. And there were some other problems. Ramanujan became ill because, of course, Madras was or Tamil Nadu was a very different climate than that of England, and he was a pure vegetarian, so he had a problem with nourishment, and consequently he fell very ill. And when he was very ill, Hardy was going to visit him, and let's see his passion with his friendliness or communication with numbers, even when he is severely ill.
No one can understand Ramanujan who does not understand his passion for numbers in themselves. He could remember the idiosyncrasies of numbers in an almost uncanny way. It was Littlewood who said that every positive integer was one of Ramanujan's friends. I remember going to see him when he was lying ill in Putney. I had ridden in taxicab number 1729 and remarked that the number seemed to me rather a dull one and that I hoped it was not an unfavourable omen. No, he replied. It is a very interesting number. It is the smallest number expressible as a sum of two cubes in two different ways.
So now, with in poor health and again for non-suitability of the surroundings, Ramanujan had to go back to India. But before he went back, in addition to the 21 papers that he accomplished, he was awarded by Cambridge University the degree of BA by research, with the same degree which was later called a PhD. And also, I think he was the first Indian to be inducted in as a Fellow of Royal Society. Okay, so during his later years, or during his times at Cambridge, he was friends with this great statistician. And in fact, those of who you work in the area of statistics, Indian Institute of Statistics in Calcutta, or Kolkata as it's called now. Okay, it was founded by Professor P.C. Mahalanobis, okay, who was also a Fellow of Royal Society. Okay, and he went to Cambridge, and he was a student at King's College in Cambridge. And Ramanujan became friends with him, and there are several very beautiful anecdotes that you can get from the reminiscences of that friendship. That is, once Professor Mahalanobis, or let me call him just PC, okay, he was visiting Ramanujan, and he saw that he was covered with overcoat and everything else, even towels, near the fireplace, just because he did not know how to get tucked in the blankets of his bed, and not really cover himself like this, on the top of the bed with the overcoat and shawl. So maybe, so before really PC visited him in that condition, he must have really not been very warm in that environment. Now here, Dr. Mahalanobis, I'm so sorry, Dr. Mahalanobis, okay, I'm embarrassed to be an Indian and having difficulty pronunciation with the name. Excuse me. So he and Ramanujan used to go for long walks on Sunday mornings. And again, look at the philosophical side of Ramanujan. I mean, like, my communications with numbers are limited to, I mean me, the speaker here, okay, atulnroy, that say if I have to think about infinity, I just think, well, is the number 8 just relaxing here or what? But anyways, for him, as this is really embarrassing. Just a second. So Dr. Mahalanobis and Ramanujan, they would, as I said, they will discuss a lot of philosophical ideas, and look at the way Ramanujan looked at zero and infinity in a very spiritual sense. He spoke of zero as the symbol of the absolute, that is Nirgun Brahm. So Brahm, generally, we Hindus associate Brahm with God, you may say, and Nirgun means you cannot attach any attributes to Brahm, and he's calling that as zero. But at the same time, he goes for Saguna Brahm, in which whatever you can attribute to Brahm, which is totality of all the possibilities. So he goes to that side as infinity. And according to Ramanujan, zero times infinity, which we work a lot in our calculations of indeterminate forms, that gives all the numbers. And then what does he say is this, that he looked at so the product of infinity and zero should supply the whole set of finite numbers. And they go on discussing each act of creation, as far as I could understand, could be symbolized as a particular product of infinity and zero. And from each such product will emerge a particular individual, of which the appropriate symbol was a particular finite number. So then Dr. Mahalanobis says that I have put down, what I remember of his views. And he says, I do not know the exact implication. And of course, with, great Dr. P.C. Mahalanobis, who was not only a statistician, but he also assisted the first Prime Minister Nehru in his planning for modern India. And you can see they really had great visions. If he did not understand the implications, I am just too humbled by that. I'm not even trying at the moment. But so now these are the anecdotes from PC's memories, okay? And in fact, if you go to that book that I showed in my Kindle collection, okay, what that refers is that, of course, I don't think the author was able to talk to Hardy, but in the book it says that Hardy had found this organized kind of set of writing in Ramanujan's collection, and there he had even noted it down that zero is the absolute, the Nirguna Brahm, infinity is the Saguna Brahm, and here is like a spelling mistake. And I don't think that Ramanujan would write it like this, okay, that 0 times infinity equals the set of finite numbers. We read that he meant that it gave all the finite numbers, but anyways, we already have it. So it was there, written there, and then Hardy recognized that this was the same handwriting or same style as he had seen in the original letter of Ramanujan, in which he had given this sum in terms of Ramanujan's summation. So we will open things for discussions in a few minutes, but let me first, give my gratitude to this website from which I got so much information, and I have incorporated so many slides from. Okay, and then again, I'm going to conclude the, this description before we talk about the mathematical portion. Okay, from a few clips from this movie. Okay, Letters from an Indian Clerk. Okay, by Christopher Sykes. And in fact, there's so much more to it, that lot of work of Ramanujan that he did when he went back to India was lost and to be found later by Dr. Andrews of Pennsylvania State University. And then the work further continued. And so let's go towards the last years and descriptions, and I would treat that as very emotional description by Mrs. Janaki Ramanujan. And after Ramanujan passed away, of course, Mrs. Ramanujan, she didn't have any children, but she adopted a nephew, and the nephew took real good care of her, in the sense that from whatever I read, that he even took early retirement to care for her in her old age. And here we will at least get to see Mrs. Ramanujan. Okay, so let's go for it.
Indeed, all that is wanted is to get him to realize that he really is a success.
He used to say, if you had come with me, I wouldn't have fallen ill. It's because you didn't come that my health failed.
And even in his last years, or last months of his life, he was working only on mathematics. That's where he developed his work on Mach theta functions, the famous Mach theta functions of Ramanujan. And let's again go to Mrs. Janaki Ramchandran here.
On his deathbed, he told me that his name would live for 100 years. He said, whether I am alive or dead, you will have money. He knew he was dying and said there was nothing anyone could do about it. I always remember his name whenever I meditate.
So Ramanujan did say that his name will live for at least 100 years, and which will, I mean, much beyond 100 years. But in the year 2020, if I'm still around, yeah, I'm asking, Dr. Dandon to keep a slot for me in the month of April, okay, to give another lecture, probably on Cesaro's some ability or that will encourage me to read about his theory of divergent series, to just give just one humble example to support his statement that his name would live for at least 100 years. So let's go further about the work.
January 1920. I am extremely sorry for not writing you a single letter up to now. I have discovered very interesting functions recently, which I call mock theta functions. Unlike the false theta functions, they enter into mathematics as beautifully as the ordinary theta functions.
He wouldn't talk to anyone who came to the house. It was always maths. Even then he didn't care about his meals, but would only do sums. He sent them to England. 4 days before he died, he was scribbling. He filled a box with papers, and there were more papers scattered around the bed. The papers went here and there and changed hands. I don't know where they went. For him, in this universe, maths was everything.
So before I start, before I stop talking and we get into our general discussion, let's conclude this description about Ramanujan's life, one of a very brief description of a very brief life by the way G.H. Hardy felt it.
I still say to myself when I'm depressed and find myself forced to listen to pompous and tiresome people, well, I have done one thing you could never have done, and that is to have collaborated with both Littlewood and Ramanujan on something like equal terms.